Okay, Husqvarna LT12-38. As you can see, it's in the garage. Most of my machines don't get garage treatment unless they're getting work done to it or they're potentially sold. This machine here is potentially sold, even though it was never listed on Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace by me. It was listed on both by the previous owner, but not by me. So I had somebody contact me about another machine that does need a little bit more work than this machine needs. And I mentioned I had this one here. I told them what it needs, which is a starter Bendix eventually, blades eventually, and a battery. It all depends on who you are and if you don't care about boosting the machines whenever you would want to put one in, or keep it on a battery tender and it would be perfectly fine. So overall, this machine is 100% functional. The way it sits, it does start, run, drive, and cut. Actually, I don't know if it cuts since it's the end of February and we don't have grass at the moment. But I would assume it would cut. The deck comes on, deck functions. I've replaced the engine, which I'll show you in a second. I replaced both front wheel bushings, which I did show the after in a previous video. Cosmetically, the decals are starting to peel off, unfortunately, and it does need some repaint. But again, February, I can't pressure wash this right now, and I cannot paint this right now, since due to the temperatures, and the weather is supposed to get bad the next couple days. So that's what's holding me back on doing any of the cosmetics. The potential buyer is aware of everything. This machine here is what I call a crossover year. It uses a lot of the newer style body panels, the rounded hood, the rounded rear fender, but it has the more square body. As you can see, it's a step over instead of a step through. It uses the more modern key, like they all use. It has first generation steering. It's got a cable engagement deck, so that's more second generation of these machines, more into the 2000s. I believe this is an early 2000s. I did look at the serial number a while back, and I do believe it is in the early 2000s. It also uses an L-head Briggs, where most of these would use an overhead valve. It uses the newer generation wiring harness with the 6-pin Molex, where the older machines would have a single plug for the charging system or a plug like this for a charging system and a separate wire going to the coil to kill the coil. These machines do not use or at least these engines do not use a backfire prevention solenoid. I don't believe any single cylinder L-head has ever used a backfire prevention solenoid, unless you put one of those types of carburetors on here. But again, it doesn't have the wiring for it. This machine here has the older tank. The tank that was in it was cracked, so I had to end up replacing it. I definitely believe there's an issue with the Husqvarna clear plastic tanks, because the one that was in this machine was cracked. I've had one in a previous Husqvarna. It was cracked, and there's one currently listed for sale on Kijiji. Also has a cracked tank. All of them being clear. Luckily with this, I had this tank in the shed. I didn't have to buy one. Unfortunately, for my last Husqvarna, I didn't realize I had this tank, and I had to buy one. So, as you can see, the differences between these machines. The only things I don't know if it's new generation or the older generation is the shifter linkage. If that shifter linkage could go on to go on to a newer machine, that's one thing I don't know. So I know you cannot put the older generation shifter linkage onto the newer generation machines. I have tried it. It does not work. Case in point, one of my other machines, I tried putting the linkage onto another one. It would not work. And it's a step over design frame like this. But like I said, this machine has a lot of the newer parts. I don't know how far they went on the interchange. So anyways, this machine here, hopefully the guy's coming tonight. If not, he's coming tomorrow to pick this up. He's not coming from too far away, which is good, and it's going out to his cottage as the cottage tractor. So it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to get the job done, which this machine definitely would. Get the job done with a few minor repairs, nothing major at the moment. As long as you're not hammering on that starter, the starter should be okay for a little while. The battery, it's your choice, and the blades, it's user's choice. Also, this is the orientation of these gas tanks. I know some people put them in the other way. I had one person tell me, well, I liked it the other way, that's why I did it the other way, which I don't see why you'd like it the other way. It puts the gas cap right up against the dash, and it makes it more difficult to get the gas cap on and off. So, anyways, that's pretty much it. So I'll talk to them later. Please keep it redneck like always, and please subscribe and comment.